No one knows anything today, as Icy would say.
But I need to see him winning this kind of company.
At 33s, I've had to have a bit, haven't I?
I think one comes here and wins.
This is a shocking race.
But it's time to get excited about the future. And I was struggling a little bit for prep on this, but I know my onions, so we'll be all right. Started to prep for the long walk hurdle, and I've actually had a little bet. I've had a little wager. But knowing the form that you three are in, there is absolutely no chance that this horse even gets a mention. So I'm just going to let you go, and then I'm just going to bring it all back to me, and then I'm going to give you a big priced winner of the long walk hurdle. So there are some prizes up for grabs. So just a quick reminder of that Racing Tees, Alan is offered £35. So you can basically buy anything, hoodies, zip hoodies. I'll stick some pictures of those bits up. And Lloyd, I can't remember what he's let me buy off of him, maybe 35 quid as well. But so you can get the stockings, the mugs, socks, all that sort. The way you're going to win that prize is you're going to name the winners of the Christmassy grade ones. I'll put a list in the comments below. You can just add in your selections, and whoever gets the most winners, doesn't matter about SPs, will win the voucher. If it is split by like a few people, I'll just double up the prizes. If like 4 or 5 of you win, then no one wins. We have got some entries that are in here. Obviously, reasonably big news is the fact that Champ probably could run in here rather than going over fences, and everyone's getting a little bit excited about him, aren't they? The race itself, though, we had Big Buck winning it in the past, so the stats are slightly skewed by him. We've had 6 Cheltenham Stairs hurdle winners in there. We've had 5 Aintree Stairs hurdle winners, and we've had 1 Punchestown Champion Stairs hurdle. So it is a pretty good race when we're looking forward towards the spring festivals. Obviously, last year was an absolute cork of a race when Paisley got back up. Richard Johnson was fuming as he crossed the line, wasn't he? And I'll say it every time we get to talk about that race. I guarantee Richard Johnson wanted to retire that day, and he was fuming because he got picked up. I guarantee he wanted to retire on that.
He should have retired that day.
What's that? He should have retired that day. Bless him. Won an award today, didn't he? Well done, Richard Johnson. Anywho, I've already talked too much considering I'm getting excited and I can't wait to talk after. So who wants it first? Who wants to tell me who's going to win the long walk?
I'll go.
Yes, go on, Alex.
This is a shocking race.
Correct.
Shocking race. It really is. Time Hill wins this. If he's back to any kind of form that he was in last season, he wins this easily. Ignore his last run at Auteuil. It was heavy ground. He doesn't want heavy ground. If this is good to soft, he absolutely pisses it. Champ won't run. Ronald Pump won't turn up. Paisley Park is not as good anymore. Thomas Darby's not very good. Is Nagar Oscar? No. Third Wind is an interesting horse. If it's really, really soft, heavy ground, I think Third Wind could run well. And then the rest, I mean, Don Levon is a very good handicapper, ran a good race the other day. My friend's horse, his sister rode it. Very, very nice ride from Izzy. Al Dancer is not the horse he used to be. Indefatigable, didn't want to even start the last run. And then you got right in at the bottom, 100 to 1 in Ngolo, who was with, I think, Willie Mullins last season, who actually bet, I think, to win at the Christmas festival, and he was absolutely shocking. He's now trained by Anne Duffield. So it just says it all, really. I think Time Hill wins this easily. I haven't mentioned Buzz because I don't think...
Or Anne Duffield, huh?
No offence to Anne Duffield, but I just don't think Ngolo's any good. And I think Time Hill will probably beat Buzz. That's my take on the race. I don't think it's very good at all.
Nice, I like it. The thing is, this is like classed as the 4th division of National Hunt horse racing, isn't it? You want your Gold Cup horses, you want your 2-mile chasers, you then maybe want your 2-mile hurdlers, and then if it doesn't work out, stick them over 3 miles. Clearly what they're doing with something like a Champ. And Ngolo was one that I put up for any race at Cheltenham last year. I wonder what Anne Duffield's stats are when it comes to March. Anywho, the good news is, which whittles it down for you two, you don't have to mention it, but Alex hasn't even mentioned my one yet. Jamie, who wins it?
I know what you're going to say.
Don't say it then.
I know what you're going to say. I have a cough already, but all right, go on. At least I can't. I don't know if I can pop Alex's analysis there. But anyway, I suppose I'm like Carter. I'm an absolute love the Champ. Like, I love Champ. I've always liked Champ. And this is like, if he ran the stairs her last year, I'd have backed Champ. End of story. I won't tell a lie. I think Alex is right. It's Time Hill will win. But I'm very much like, I like Buzz. I like Champ. And I like your horse too, Dave. that I mentioned in a Cheltenham preview last day, Sporting John.
No,
It's not Sporting John. Oh my
not
God, I
even
thought it was right.
John.
Oh, Jesus. No, to get back,
It's fine. You'll go for it. It's all fine. There's plenty.
to get back to, yeah, I think it's Time Hill's race to win. He's great bet at 94 here. I have 94 here. But I just want to see, I back Buzz for the stairs hurdle each way, but I think Macron might be a little bit, I don't know, might be wrong, a little bit too soft at Ascot by the time that race is off. So it's a fact-finding mission for me, because I don't think Time Hill sees out the hill at Cheltenham. So that well, no, I might be totally wrong, but that well, just that little bit at the end, he doesn't seem to see it out. So I think he'd win here, but I won't be backing him for the stairs hurdle. So I'd be just watching Buzz, Champ if he turns up, and Sporting John if he turns up as well. Just have a look, go forward for the stairs hurdle.
I mean, it might not be like a vintage one, like I've mentioned, big bucks right at the start of it, and having some like legends like Barracuda back in the day winning it as well. But even just the way you two are talking about it, it's getting me excited for it. Charlie, what do you fancy?
You might as well just replay what Alex said. To be honest, I think this is Time Hill's race. I think you forgive the run over in France. The ground was ridiculously heavy. I just don't think he took to their hurdles. I think their hurdles are traditionally just a lot bigger than ours, and I just don't think he took to it. He's probably a bit large as well, I think I heard someone say. But yeah, I think when you look at him at Time Hill and Buzz being joint favourite, there's only one that I would pick. Like I understand why people are talking about Buzz for like a stayers hurdle, but I need to see him winning this kind of company to finally like jump on that ship. And I'm not gonna risk my money waiting for that to happen. So yeah, Time Hill, I think he's the best in this division. Personally, I think he will win a champion hurdle, a stayers hurdle this year if he can stay fit. Yes, that's about it for me.
Nice. I think, yeah, Alex definitely started off with all of us going down the pan after that, didn't he? Because we could have just clipped it after that. I do like Time Hill. He was one of those I was thinking start of the season, like he looks the most obvious stairs hurdle winner. Like I know we can forgive him the run in France, but still going to stick a little bit in your head in it when it's like a very, very unlike thing for him to do. And admittedly, like I know ground and stuff might not suit it, but I do worry when Philip Hobbs horses do something strange, what it means. But anyway, yeah, he should be winning this. If he'd have won that race at Auteuil, even with the class of horses they're in here, like he probably would have maybe been about 6 to 4-ish poke. Obviously, because he was so bad at Auteuil, people have just put a line through it. Like he should win it, but I'd say 9 to 4, 5 is too skinny enough. I mean, like Jamie says, CHALLOW was the top rated one winning, so you could just go with that. I don't like Buzz. He just annoys me more than anything. Like fair play to him because he goes and wins races. But remember a long time back when he ran in handicap at Ascot, when he beat that Rosie and Millie, he started this big surge of being a champion hurdle horse, and everyone started rimming him every time he ran, didn't he? And obviously he's climbed the ranks. He's gone and won some races after, but he's just picked up trash races, isn't he? Also with Cesarewitch winners, I don't know for definite, but I don't think anything's had success when it's gone to Cheltenham after. There's been horses that have won the Cesarewitch that then go and get beaten, like the Potemps and stuff. So again, like I feel it's absurd that people talk about him winning a stairs hurdle. So
well, Burning Victory didn't do the form any good on the weekend, did she?
No, can't jump.
That preview show that you said you watched, Charlie, didn't Patrick say that was his nap of the weekend, that Burning Victory?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Exactly off the mark she was.
Gavin Lynch napped her as the bet of the weekend.
Exactly. No one knows anything today, as Icy would say. But I think looking at this race, right, there's a lot of like Champ, obviously, like clearly is a very talented horse. How fantastic was him to see what he did over a short trip at Newbury before he went to Cheltenham? Like it's just bizarre. Like when Gary Moore, before he took him to the champion hurdle, when Gary Moore got Goshen to win the whatever it's called back, the Hadley won at Wincanton last year. And he said that to freshen him up, he was taking him for a walk around Tesco car park. People doing weird things training a horse. They're not going to go and win stuff. So, like Champ could come in, couldn't he? Be semi-interesting. Like we say, Ronald Pumpson will come here. Paisley's gone. I don't know why they don't just stick him over the fence, or they didn't do it at the beginning of the season. One that I think is definitely being overlooked, and it's like a recency bias thing, and it happens every single year. It's absurd. Like, feel free to shoot me down, but just let me get it out. Molly Ollie wishes for Dan Skelton, right? At the beginning of the season, ran at Wetherby over 2 miles, and they were talking about our chances before the race, what the plans were. We'll go down the Roxana route. Hopefully, we'll make her into a mare's hurdle or a stairs hurdle horse. She needs a trip. That was over 2 miles. Harry Skelton just went off on her like it was like a bit bizarre when he went for an early kick, but nothing could go with her, and she dotted up. Now, it's girls racing, so the form doesn't particularly stand up, but Miranda was in behind. Miranda won today after standing at the start for about a minute before it went and did anything. Admittedly, it's a girls' handicap, but gone and won a handicap of 142, so you'd say that the Molly Ollie Wishes form is steady enough on that. Like Marie's Rox Benning showed that day. Zambella went and won the chase race at Aintree the other day, didn't she? So admittedly, this was a prep run going into that, but I think that's reasonable enough form. Then they've done the magic thing of never send a horse to Ascot without a run because it's undulating. Some horses don't like it. So they've sent her to Ascot over 2.5, which isn't particularly her trip. She wants slower ground as well, just for the sake of a run. They slapped Bridget on there. They've done this before as well. They stick Bridget Andrews on the back just to go and get a run somewhere. Then Harry will jump back on. She gets her £7, which puts her on like official figures 152. And I know we've got Champ that's like 165 over fences, and we've got Time Hill that's a 160s horse over hurdles, and Buzz, whatever he's apparently rated, isn't what he's rated. So I just think at 33-1, considering like we talk about trainers targeting races, she wants this trip. She wants a test. There's hopefully plenty of rain about as well. I just think she's way, way, way too big a price. Like I think she'll be the sort of horse that will go for 12-1, maybe even a bit shorter, depending on what the final field is. And at 33s, I've had to have a bit, ain't I? I'm in. Balls deep in Molly Ollie Wishes. Any rebuttal to that? Anyone want to shoot me down? You can't when it's 33s, can you? You just get a free swing, surely.
You're on drugs. Not for me, Dave. Move on. What's the next race?
We'll move on. But it's got you thinking at least. Thinking that why did you agree to do this? So this is sort of no particular order, but we'll do the days that are coming up. So we haven't got entries for every single one of these, but I'm just going to peel from in the order that I've got here. There is one race that I didn't stick on the list, which is the Future Champions Novice Hurdle. That's the 27th, so we'll come on to that. I've got to remind myself of that. But on Boxing Day, we start to get very excited. We've got obviously the main race of the day being the King George over here, but I'm going to cover a couple of races on the other side of the sea first, if we may. So the Racing Post Novices Chase, basically like a mini Arkle trial in it. But given the fact that Ireland just dot up, you'd expect there'll be some good stats coming to the spring. We've had 4 Cheltenham Arkle winners. We've had 4 Novice Chase winners at Punchestown, their 2-miler, and we've had 1 Aintree Maggle winner, so that's a 2-miler. So basically, if any of the horses that win this are going to win in the spring, they're going to win again over 2 miles. Big names that have won this in the past, the likes of Duvan, Footpad, Franco de Port. What massive names have gone in and won it. This year's race, obviously, is mainly going to be steered around one horse and one horse only, I think. Jamie, I'm just going to come straight to you. Does Fernie Hollow appreciate it come here?
I'd say Fernie Hollow will, but probably will. Get the races into him, Dave. He needs races. I'm just looking at it there. Not very much. I can't see Willie Mullins running appreciated in first time out in the Grade 1. I just don't. He's a creature of habit, beginner's chase, Grade 1. It's pretty, I suppose, I can't see anything else. I just hope Fernie Hollow runs and see how good he is going left-handed, jumping a fence.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's one thing I sort of struggled with it, looking at the potential horses that could go in there. Like, we want one of the big names to go in there. Like I said, it can be a good marker towards the spring festivals. There probably will be some horses in behind that maybe be worth mentioning. Not that I'll be mentioning it. You're right about Appreciate. Probably won't come here first time up. Charlie, is there anyone behind those two that we think could come here and challenge, or is it just all about Willie?
I think one comes here and wins. I think Riviera Tell can beat Fernie Hollow. She's in receipt of £13. She absolutely annihilated Cape Gentleman by 21 lengths. She would have beaten Cape Gentleman with no allowances. She gets £13, 4-year-old's allowance and a mare's allowance. I genuinely think that if she turns up in this race, she'd beat Fernie Hollow.
Do you reckon that will play on Willie's mind a little bit? Because he won't obviously want to get Fernie beat at some point.
Possibly. Like she's also entered into the Faugheen chase as well, but I think she's a 2-mile. I think the Faugheen's over 2 mile 3, but I think if Riviere de Tel is in this race, I think she'll win it.
Oh, there's a girl and everything as well, and it's like a junior as well. But yeah, the allowances are massive, aren't they? That's a fairly steady point there. Alex, what do you make of it?
I think if Fernie Hollow turns up, then he wins. River to Tell, she's a mare. She's had three runs already this season. 3 runs already, October, November, and December. I just don't know if you'll run her again so quickly. I'll tell you one in there that was definitely an eye catcher on the weekend, which has always had a bit of promise and never really showed it, is Blue Sari. Mm-hmm. He actually ran a really nice race and was second. I think it was either Saturday or Sunday to Farouk Dalen. And he was really, really closing at the line. He went off a big price. He went off a 14-1. But he actually beat Ashdale Bob, who obviously has. I think he was travelling well behind Bob Ollinger a couple of weeks ago. So I was quite interested by him. If he turns up, he might be a nice each way price. But I think if Fernie Hollow turns up, then he wins it.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? It is a tricky one to see where they're going to go, because you are right, Jamie, that Willie Mullins, being the creature of habit that he is, you wouldn't think he's going to stick one into a Grade 1 first time up. But I don't know. I'd like to see Appreciate coming, because he's not your normal horse, is he? He's that year older. He's that bit bigger. He's that bit stronger, and it doesn't massively look that deep a race. Like the Riviere de Tel getting all those allowances. Like I reckon, Alex, they probably would run just for the pure fact that it's the last chance to use that 4-year-old allowance. But then you see it like with Nassalam for Gary Moore, run him in that race at Ascot, then goes and runs him at Newbury. Now I know he won at Newbury, but the 2 that tipped up in front of him had his measure. Maybe the toll might be taken by it, but I imagine Fernie Hollow and Appreciate didn't run in there. What an abysmal start to Christmas that would be. I hope Willie just has some balls with him and sticks Appreciate him, but it's more likely to be Fernie versus Riviere de Tel in it. Like it should, like at least there'll be some substance to it, wouldn't there? But I would be disappointed if Fernie got beat. I know obviously with the allowances, like logically it wouldn't be that much of a surprise, but I just hope Fernie's a beast. I just get too excited. I get too emotionally attached to these ponies, don't I? We'll move on from there though, because it doesn't look the deepest of races. We've got the now known as Faugheen Novices Chase. It's got a few winners that have gone through to the spring festivals. We've got the champion Novices Chase at Punchestown. That's a 3-mile 1 race, so that's obviously significantly higher than the 2-mile 3 and a bit of this. We've had a JLT winner, and we've had a Cheltenham Mares Chase winner as well. So Cool Reevy's got a couple of those wins to our name from last season. Obviously, it's named after Faugheen the machine. He went in there. Go back, there's the likes of Bells Hill winning this. The Deschamps won it a while back. I tend to just find that this is a race that maybe isn't the best. It's one of those weird intermediate trips as well that you just don't know maybe whether they're not good enough for the 2 miles, they're not good enough for the 3 miles, rather than it being this is a nice introduction before you step up in trip. Obviously, we've got Bob Ollinger that's been entered this weekend to potentially go up against My Drogo. So throws a bit of a iron in the fire, I suppose, of what's going to happen at Christmas, because obviously it depends if he runs this Saturday, doesn't it? Because if he goes and runs against My Drogo, you wouldn't think it's going to be the easiest of races, and then you've got to think it's only 20 days to come back after to go in here. And then potentially they're looking back and thinking, well, this could be a Grade 1 for him to go into. But I think he needs a bit more experience. I remember his point-to-point, all these horses, when they get purchased, always go back and watch their point-to-point videos. I'm pretty sure it's not out there, but I've said it a few times. But I just wish someone would show measurements of the heights of fences at these point-to-points. Even like they're varying at different sides, like jump inside, land sides. But the track that Bob Ollinger won, whenever I watch a clip of a video back at that track, they just look like, when you mentioned before, Charlie, about the French hurdles being a bit bigger, they look like those like mini hurdle fences things. They didn't look that big, and he skewed and threw a few weird shapes in his point the same as well. So I like I said before, I want novices to make mistakes so you can see how they handle it. I just wonder whether Bob Ollinger will ever jump properly, like whether he will be liquid or fluid over every single one of his fences, or at least in the majority of them. So I don't know. You'd think the logical option would be to come here, but I don't know. A lot depends on what happens at Saturday. But yeah, I'm not overly sold on Bob Ollinger's basically the message I'm trying to get along. I don't know if he can do it anymore. Charlie, you look disgusted with me. Not as quite as disgusted as Jamie. I'm not sold. I can't have Bob Ollinger at the minute.
Bob's the when Bob Ollinger retires, this race will change to Bob Ollinger Novice Chase. Bob is the machine. I don't think he'll run it Saturday at Cheltenham. I think they'll stay here. But yeah, Bob. If Bob goes, Bob wins. Bob does what he wants. I think there's an interesting one at a price. Is a horse that's been on my radar pretty much since I first saw him, and that's Gars de Sceaux. I think he's about 25s for this race. I don't know if he'll turn up here. It might be a bit short. I think he's entered into, and I can't think of the other race. It might be the Neville Hotel, maybe. But I think he's a one stay on the side of us, like novice staying chasing. But yeah, Bob does whatever he wants to do, and he wins everything.
Unreal. See, there are a few more names here that could be fairly tasty, whether the trips are the right things for him. Obviously, I mentioned about we all talked about Beaconhead before, didn't we? He's probably very likely to line up in here. Mr. Incredible, that just wasn't so incredible when he came over at Newbury. Maybe it was the trip that cost him, but you can't get away from how eye-catching he was. Obviously, the same stable as Bob Ollinger. What do you think, Jamie? Do you think that Bob Ollinger going to come over on Saturday? Because they sent Gin and Lime over to test out the Walk Rover, didn't they? The same owners to find out what my Drogo's like. Tipped up, Rachel did what she did and sat on board. Why? Like, I literally have no idea why they would enter him if they're not gonna bring him. Well, I mean, like, you'd be surprised if he did run, but surely.
I think I agree with Charlie. He'll run at Limerick. It's a grade one. Is it a grade one in nature? I don't know. But you're going to laugh at me now, and you're going to absolutely say, oh, to me, in 2 seconds. If Bob Ollinger runs Saturday, there's only one winner of this race. And you're his biggest fan, and you never backed him the weekend.
Oh, Farouk.
Alex mentioned the second. Yeah, that's it. Farouk Delenn will win it. This if Bob Ollinger doesn't turn up. End of story. But Bob is Bob. Bob is the best, Dave. Bob is the best. There's no one better than Bob.
I mean, like he is an absolute monster, and I'm not just trying to take him on to be one of those guys that's like, oh, take on a shorty for the sake of it. But I don't know. Like I was speaking with him. I was the same with him over like hurdles last year after his bumper, and everyone was cooing about him for a Ballymore. I mean, I only backed him anti-post because Matt wouldn't shut up about him. Said you have to get him on your ticket. I was just being stubborn, wasn't going to do it, but I did. And it took until like the run before Cheltenham that I said, oh, do you know what? He obviously clearly is a weapon, and he's only going to be better on better ground, isn't he? But he probably is a beast. Sure, I think he runs Saturday, but then he could still come here. Who knows? I do like Farouk Delenn. This is a terrible preview for me. Alex, dig me out of the hole.
I'll be honest, I didn't actually know Bob Ollinger had an entry this weekend, so I kind of just assumed he'd run here and he'd win, so I hadn't got any further than that, to be honest, so I'll have to give this one a miss.
To be fair, mate, I reckon that's probably what we should have done. We should have put you first like the long walk hurdle and just gone with that. Bob Ollinger doesn't even matter he's got an entry this weekend because he's just going to come here and he's going to win, isn't he? I like him. I'm not just trying to take him for the sake of taking him on. But
yeah. Mr. I love brave man's game. Go away.
We do like brave. I can use that clip later.
How can you compare brave man's game to them, man? Seriously, like I know you English over there clutching at straws trying to beat the Irish at the old horse racing, but we leave that for another day.
Mr. Deadman.
I'm still going to tease us away from the best race on the Boxing Day and then probably the penultimate, even though you've just led me in with the brave man's game there. We're going to switch back to hurdles. We're going to go for the Christmas hurdle. So obviously we've had some winners of that in the past. I remember the good old days at Christmas. I used to go to Kempton on a Boxing Day and I used to get to see Faugheen, the machine, come over. Please, Irish, just send something over because the British 2-mile hurdlers it actually makes me feel a little bit sick thinking outside that fight in fifth as well was just so bad. You could see early on that something had happened to Monroe because he wasn't going. And turns out he got some sort of a nick. Anywho, this Christmas hurdle, we've had 4 champion hurdle winners in there. But like I said, I've mentioned Faugheen, Epatant's been in there. We've had some rogue winners of it as well. We've had a Yanworth in it, but Binoculars gone and done it in the past. There's been some big horses that have won this race. We've had one Punchestown champion hurdle. So this side of the water, it's going to be the best test for British 2-mile hurdlers. I've lost all faith in the British 2-mile hurdlers. So like I say, I'm hoping an Irish horse comes over. It depends on what trainers are running in the King George to what could come over. But before I allude to one that I would like to see, Jamie, what are your thoughts?
I actually haven't looked at this race there, so we'll let the boys go first.
woeful. Charlie, have you got anything in mind? Because we haven't got entries for this race yet. I guess it'll be like the fighting fifth ones will come in.
Oh, is there any prices up on it there?
No, there's
no.
no.
Right. Sorry, I was wondering there because I was looking for it here and I was like, where's the race?
You're just looking for the blue on odds checker.
What?
You were just looking for the blue on odds checker to put up a selection. What do you reckon,
I
Charlie?
was, yeah. Is there any prices on it? A second, huh?
No, you don't.
Oh my God.
Epatante obviously had the back surgery, didn't she? She ran, I guess you'd say she ran okay in the fighting fifth because she dead hit it, didn't she? But just looks pretty pants, doesn't it?
She turns up here there. She'll probably win. Like, let's there in the bloody race. Like, Silver Streak got a soft lead and she just clouted. Was it the third last year? And she never looked right since after that. I thought she ran well the last day. Aidan Coleman give her an absolute shocker of a ride. What was he doing? Like, why didn't he go down the inside of Not So Sleepy instead of going all the way around him? I don't know. There's nothing else, like, is there? I'm scratching my head, like. I suppose with Gary Moore with Goshen in it or something that lunatic. I don't know. I think Goshen needs 3 miles, isn't it?
Yeah.
So poor. Very
Charlie, have you got any more insight than that? Because we're scratching the barrel here, and this could take me ages to edit this out.
Yeah. The only one I really fell on was last year's winner, was Song for Someone. I think he's entered into the international hurdle on Saturday at Cheltenham. I think if he doesn't run there, it's because they'll be running him here. For me, Epatante should be beating Not So Sleepy. I think even, I've just kind of drawn the line with her now. I'm probably won't back her again. And I agree, Silver Streak won in bad fashion last year. So I'd say Song for Someone. I don't really know what from Ireland would come and turn up, but of the British contingency, that's probably my angle at the moment.
Yeah, Alex, you got anyone that you like in here? It's one of those races we haven't got entries yet, and it's pretty pish division, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of Epatante anymore. I don't think she's as good as she used to be. I think if it's good ground, which I don't know if it will be or not, depends how much rain we've got. I don't know Kempton tends to dry pretty well. I think Silver Streak's got a massive chance again. If he's an each way price and there's 8 runners, I'll be back in Silver Streak. I think I was told he was working much better before the Newcastle race. I think he ran at Fost last, was it, in the Welsh Champion Hurdle? He didn't run very well, but I told he was working better before Newcastle. And I think he travelled really well. But then the ground just went against him. He likes it. He likes good ground, good to soft ground, and I think it just went against him. He got tired, but I thought it was a really good run. And I think if he gets decent ground, I think he'll go very close again. I don't think he needs to lead. I think they did that last year to try and put it up to Epatante and try something different. It obviously worked, but I don't think he needs to do that, and I don't think they'll necessarily do it again. But I think he'll have a good chance.
Yeah. I think So Royal, obviously, because he came and did Silver Streak at the beginning of the season, didn't he? It used to be the Bet365 hurdle. It's a listed race, but sort of beat Silver Streak in his own backyard on the good ground, didn't he? And he's in that fighting fifth, considering it was basically running the snow. You can call the ground description whatever you want. Like it can't have suited So Royal. I saw him at Alan King's Yard a few years back, and he's got like double bars in front of him because he's a full-blown actual biter. And even the guy that went in there to feed him some straw was like wearing like pads and stuff on there. So like he's a bit of a nutcase. I reckon horses like that probably get annoyed with the weather. I don't think it's that he doesn't handle bad ground. He's just thinking, don't mug me off and make me run in these conditions. So if it's goodish ground, like, he'd have a bit of a chance. But you think of like the Irish horses. Henry de Brommen's got Ballyadam in the international hurdle, didn't he, this weekend? So there's a chance that Ballyadam's now going to go back over hurdles. I don't think anyone will do it, but I hope that they do. We've got there's just loads of different types of horses that could come over it. Ballyadam, I've said, Quilixalos potentially Henry could send something over if he's wants a travelling companion for something for King George. Zana here for Gordon Elliott. Like Gordon would never send something over it, but he's the sort of horse that's entered in the 2 mile at Leopardstown at Christmas that he's just not going to win. That's Sharjah's normal bread and butter, isn't it? But it's a pretty lacklustre race. It's annoying because it used to be a classic, and it's more annoying the fact that the Irish don't send anything over anymore. But I've said it for the last few years. If they'd have sent something over, they would have won it. So maybe they watch these, and maybe one of them's going to send something over. it's just a bit lackluster when we're sort of saying that Silver Streak not so sleepy.
William Mullins might find something to send over last year in Flanders. You never know.
Exactly. We can but hope, can't we? But I don't know. There's bundles of horses in there. Again, it's depending on what the ground's doing. It's one of those without the entries and without it being such a big, like, famous race. There's not too much to go by. But we're going to get a bit more exciting now. We'll go on to the Kauto Star Novices Chase. It's the Feltham as far as I'm concerned. This is one that I did talk about this a couple of years ago, the fact that you probably get better records if you place in this race going on to win at the Cheltenham Festival. We've had one Cheltenham Gold Cup winner. That was Coney Green that went and did the double of them two. And then we've had a Mild May Novices Chase. So we haven't had a winner of this go and win the big RSA. So all the Brave Man's Game fans will probably be hoping that he was to get beat in this if they want to go and get an RSA winner out of him. But his jumping's just unreal, isn't it? And I talk about these novices, you want to see him make a mistake. Like, he's the sort of horse you'd hope that you'd be able to handle it, but like at some point maybe he's going to have to get into something at some point. But that itchy feet run at Haydock, like, I know using itchy feet as a yardstick's probably a little bit loose. And obviously All Mankind didn't do the form any good from after that when he ran in the Peterborough Chase at the weekend. But I didn't expect him to win as emphatically as he did at Haydock, so I'm more than happy to upgrade him. Like, he's been taking on better horses than he's probably going to face in here in terms of they've had experience, all those bits and pieces. Track should probably suit him because I know it's a different direction to Haydock, but it's flat enough for him. So I'm struggling to try and find a staying horse that I'd want to take him on with. There was a couple of novices at the beginning of the season that just haven't really hit the heights. So I just think that Brave Man's Game is going to dot up in the Novices Chase. Like, it's a boring selection, but I think he's the one. Charlie, is there anything away from him you like, or do you think Brave Man's Game just dots up?
Yeah, I think it probably is his race to lose. I think after Hoyce and Yours win, everyone was calling out for that matchup, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen, which is a bit of a shame. I'd say if there was an Irish one to come over, Willie may send over On the Ropes for this race. I'd quite like his chances if it was soft or heavy, as like an each way poke. But I think it is Brave Man's Game to lose. Yeah,
and it is sad. Like you've touched over Hoyce. See, he was another one that I knocked. I was talking to a few guys about the Newbury stuff, just thinking that I couldn't really buy into the aim to win. Thought Brave Man's Game probably over the top, but he was unreal at Newbury. Like, felt like a proper monster performance. But yeah, they have alluded to the fact that they don't want to run him somewhere like Kempton, so the clash will be off. Anything you like in it, Jamie?
That's the first I heard now, because I haven't been really watched it. I thought, yeah, I'm disappointed now, actually, because I was going to put up a high senior.
Just talk to me about Brave Man's Game, because you don't think he's as good as Denman, do you?
How can you compare Brave Man's Game to Denman?
Yeah, all right, here he goes again. To be honest, if they ran together, I don't know why a high senior is not running, because if a high senior was running at Kempton, it'd be Brave Man's Game. Because to be honest, he'll get away with it at Kempton, and he's going to probably be up against nothing. But I don't think he stays 3 miles. I honestly do. I just don't think he stays 3 miles. Or proper 3 miles, he just does not. He just really disappointed me in Aintree. It looks like he didn't stay, in my opinion, in Aintree last year, and that's why a high senior beat him. If a high senior ran here, a high senior would destroy him. Absolutely destroy him. After I was very, very impressed. I suppose I'm waiting on a few horses yet to come out for the RSA to beat a high senior, but I'd take a good one to beat a high senior. I was really impressed. But Brave Man's Game would win here, and just unless I like Charlie's one On the Ropes. Now, when I like On the Ropes for the National Hunt Chase, but I thought he was just outpaced at the start there. The old Hennessy, I'll keep calling it the Hennessy Wine. It's not the Ladbrokes Trophy, but after that, like, there's nothing. Like, there's like, who's going to be Brave Man's Game with a high senior turns up? Probably nothing. Like, so.
Alex, is there anyone we've really forgotten? Because we've mentioned the high seniors probably not going to come. We don't think he's going to come. We've talked about Brave Man's Game. He's just very obvious, boring, but probably just wins. Is there anyone we're neglecting, do you reckon?
I don't know. I think I was very impressed with Brave Man's Game at Newbury. I just thought he was very, very clever. He can put in a big jump, but there was one fence where he got in a bit tight, but he was so nimble on his feet and he just got over it, and it was really, really good to watch. And I just think he's a really nice horse. But I agree with Jamie. I think Ahoy Senior is an absolute machine, and I think he will take a lot of beating in the Brown Advisory.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I suppose obviously we are talking about the race in their isolation, but not too much to talk about in this one. But when it comes to Cheltenham, like I think Brave Man's going to. I agree with Jamie. Like, I'm not adamant that he's a real 3-miler just yet. Nichols already talks about it, that they may not even have to think about running him in. Like, we're stepping him up to 3 miles. And I think he was more talking about at Cheltenham. So I guess they'll maybe see what they're going to do with that. But I feel like he could stay in time. But yeah, that Ahoy Senior run at Newbury was just utter filth, wasn't it? Charlie, what's your thoughts, like RSA wise? Let's just imagine now that they're already not going to clash here, but say they did clash in the RSA before we see Brave Man's game run. Who would you be on?
I would be on Ahoy Senior if they raced, because they both need to run out in front, and I think Ahoy Senior is a better stayer than Brave Man's game. I think it would be box office if we kind of got 3 out there. They jump the third last together. I think that would be pay-per-view stuff. I think it would be Ahoy Senior like digging deep, and then Brave Man's game just like making up 2 lengths at a fence. I think it'd be class. But yeah, I think Ahoy Senior would beat Brave Man's game if they were to clash, personally.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like that's the general consensus between the 4 of us. So at least we've got some sort of information from there. So I've teased everyone for ages. I mean, people would have just skipped to the bottom anyway. But King George Chase, we've got something we could probably get ourselves stuck into. Obviously, it takes no short reading to say the fact that we've had legends like Kauto Star that won this, Kicking King before that, Silvianco Conti did it twice, Clan des Obo been dotting up, winning it. I guess with this race, we've had 4 Gold Cup winners. We've had 6 Aintree Bowl winners. We've had 2 Punchestown Gold Cups. Like, it doesn't take anybody for me to read those stats. I don't know. This is a great pointer for proper horses. This is one of my favourite Grade 1s outside of Cheltenham. I just think it's always a stonking race. I sort of feel like most of the time the best horse does win the race, apart from when Valtor got chinned by Q Card, because that made me feel sick. Cannot believe he got caught. It's killing me. But this year's renewal, like, I mean, there are some horses that have probably fallen by the wayside a little bit. Like, I know there was a few people at Anti-Post that were keen on Shamblu before he did what he did in the Charlie Hall. Obviously, he's not going to be coming here. Now, what we've seen in the John Durkan, a few people like myself liked Allaho as a profile for the race, like over the summer, and that's probably not going to happen. You wouldn't expect to see Envoy coming over to do it. So there'll be a few that drop out. But the fact that we're still going to have the likes of Clan in there, Manella Indo, I think Chantry House, we've got Froden, Asterion Forlon's now the Wise Guy one that's in there. Lost in Translation, people are maybe cooing about him a little bit. I don't know what they're going to do with Fiddler on the Roof because he ran such a stonking race, but maybe they might even think about the race of him. I don't think Tizzo would worry if he ran a couple in there. Obviously, when Clan des Obo retained it and people were thinking, oh, let's go for a bit of surname because he's the new kid on the block, he gets neglected sometimes, doesn't he, the Kempton form. Do we think that he deserves to be favoured for this race, given the fact that he does dot up at the course? And I think as well, that Aintree win that he had at the back end of last season as well just shows that he is clearly a proper horse. Goes over and wins at Punchestown. Like, he is a serious horse. He's a serious horse around here. Like, do you think he deserves to be favourite, Charlie?
Not when Manila Indo's in the race. I don't know. I'm one of those people like Clan des Obo. I don't think I've ever been on the right side of him. I just don't think I've ever. I don't think I've ever backed him or thought he was going to win a race when he actually has. I think if Manila Indo turns up, I think he'll win. I think his run, his reappearance this season behind Frodon and Galvin, I actually think it was better than people are making it out to be. I think Galvin was race fit. He'd had the warm up. Bryony Frost gave Frodon a superb ride. And everyone, like before the off, people were saying that he looked a bit large and he's going to come on for the run. I think he was only beaten about 4 lengths or 5 lengths. I think Manila Indo wins, and then we kind of have a Gold Cup clash of Aplutar versus Manila Indo, King George versus Betfair Chase winner, and that's what I want to see. I think Asterion Forlonge, yeah, he'd probably run into a place, but for me, Manila Indo, this is his race if he turns up.
See, I do like Manila Indo, but seeing as you are such a fan, can I just challenge, like, most of his runs have been over 3 miles a minute, even since he was like a hurdler. We talk about Kempton being that bit more of a speed track. Does that not worry you the slightest?
Yeah, I guess so, but I just think he's the best horse in the race. I think on the lineup, I just think he is the best one. And that's why I think he's going to win it.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. Sometimes we can overlook them, can't we? I think it looks like a real good race. I do like Milena-Indo. Clearly, he's a very good horse. It's just those couple of runs at Leopardstown last year, like tempers enthusiasm with him for me. I would still be siding with Clan if I had to have it between the pair, but I'm probably wrong with that. Alex, what do you make of the race?
I think it's a good race. I tend to agree with you. I think Clan des Obeaux would probably be my choice. I just think that we've seen already this season how good Nichols is at targeting races, and this has been the plan, from day one. It's a perfect track for him. It's a perfect trip. The ground won't be too bad, hopefully. I just think it all points to Clan des Obeaux. I know Milena-Indo. I know he's won a Gold Cup. I've just never been that sold on him, and I don't know why. I can't really tell you why. I just don't know why. I just don't know. Chantry House, I don't think much of him either. And like I said earlier, I think Asturian Flange, if he turns up, he could be a good each way price if he stays on his feet. But I think Clan des Obeaux is the right favourite, and I think if Milena-Indo does turn up, you might get a decent price about Clan des Obeaux, because I think Milena-Indo will go off favourite.
Oh yeah, see, I can see him be supported as well. And it's good that we've given a mention to Chantry House as well, because I mentioned before that Supreme line when I loosely said about Faugheen for a Gold Cup, that obviously he was third in the Supreme behind Shishkin. The stats have been touted about the fact that those horses that go for a Gold Cup, obviously when he stepped up at Aintree, dotted up, didn't he? He took advantage of the fact that Envoy wasn't quite right at Cheltenham and went and dotted up there. Worth getting a mention there. Do you give him a chance, Jamie, Chantry House?
I do. Yeah. He's my second choice behind Asturian Flange. I think there's a potential in him. Yeah, there really is. I don't like Clan des Obeaux. I never have. And I'm being a hypocrite there because I actually backed him a punches now. I don't know. I think he went soft King George's, to be honest with you. And he got fouled up by a middle in the road horse in Faugheen. It was just a great ride by Bryony Frost, and it was just a crap ride from the rest of the jockeys. They all should have been pulled into the stewards because it was ridiculous, what they did last year. And the King George let her off and then couldn't catch her. I have it down to 2. I like, as I said, our Asturian Flange is overpriced if he comes over. No, if Allo came over, Allo would win by half the track. But won't, I'd say. So it'll probably be Asturian Flange each way and Chantry House each way for me. Yeah.
Nice. So I guess Frodon hasn't had too much of a message in there, has he? But obviously, again, we talk about Nichols' target the race. It was clear that he was going to go to Downward and do it. Another one of those for Captain Hindsight that probably a reasonable price when he was 3-1 or 4-1 for the race, considering we knew that people were using it as a prep like Milena-Indo's in there. I think it looks like an absolute corker. Is there anything? I know we've gone a little bit left field with an Asturian Flange, but he's not so much anymore, is he? Although I know you liked him before he even ran at the weekend, Jamie, for the race. Fiddler, do we know if Tizard's going to send him here or he's going to send Lost in Translation? Because Lost in Translation, when he had that period where he looked like he potentially could be a Gold Cup horse, he came here, didn't he? And he pulled up behind Clan des Obeaux and he was sent off as 15-8 that day. He's now priced up as 16-1. We know that we can forgive Colin Tizard for the period that we can forgive him for. He did run after that King George. He went to Cheltenham, didn't he? And he was third in the Gold Cup. He's obviously come out this season. He's had a reappearance run and he's come and won. Do we think it's that Kempton's so bad a track they won't chance him again, or do you reckon they could send Lost in Translation here, Charlie?
I mean, they could do. I don't think that they'd stand up to the race. I don't think they'd be good enough to go and win it. Maybe run into a place. I mean, Lost in Translation did place in a Gold Cup 2 years ago, so possibly. But they didn't enter my mind when I looked at the race.
Nice. I mean, I'm just trying to clutch at straws as something as a bit of a price, because I just remember a few years back when Clan des Obeaux did win it the first time and he was just a monster price after a relative eye-catching run at Haydock, but probably is between the ones that had the market. Let's just hope that, they are going to come, aren't they? Clan des Obeaux, Milena-Indo, Chantry House is going to be an absolutely filthy throwdown on Boxing Day.